Tonight's movie was a movie called Dead Silence. My little sister actually recommended that I watch this one. But oh boy, was this a creepy one. Kind of the concept of the movie is there's a gal named Mary Shaw who lived back in the day that was a ventriloquist and is now still attacking people later on, so much to the point where the whole town just doesn't talk about or mention the name Mary Shaw. The movie kind of starts with a man and a wife. He randomly receives a package to his front door. Nobody's there, there's just a package. Takes it inside, opens it up, and turns out that it's a ventriloquist doll. He then leaves to go get food, leaving the wife behind, and she wants to pull a prank on him, so she sets the doll up in the bed because it's just creepy looking. Something transpires, and she ends up dying and being left on the bed, and he comes home, and he hears her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm in the room." And then he sees just this something sitting under the sheet on his bed. So he pulls it off and her whole mouth is just ripped open, which I thought was pretty nuts. So he spends the rest of the movie trying to figure out what happened, what all this is and everything like that. Something that I really liked about this movie is that it kind of gives me the feels and that kind of creepiness of like The Nun, which is a more recent version that's pretty similar to it, especially the look of Mary Shaw. The execution for the CGI and stuff like that I thought was pretty spot on. I mean, it's a 2007 film, I believe. So just everything that was done on it was really good. I liked how kind of darkscaped the whole movie was. There wasn't really like a bright sunny day anywhere. Everything was like kind of cloudy, overcast, kind of giving you that creepier vibe. I definitely can see how this would be a movie that would scare a select group of people, especially people who don't like dolls. I personally don't have a problem with dolls. Growing up, my grandmother at the very far end of our hallway had a like cabinet bookshelf type thing that is where we kept all the towels for the house because we had a couple different bathrooms. So we'd keep all the towels in there, and then she just had a bunch of stuffed animals lining the whole top of it, and we'd always get to go pick one that we would sleep with. I mean, I was like 3 or 4 years old. So I don't know, I'm just used to dolls being around. There was like stuffed bears and stuff like that, but dolls just never was really something that got me. But I know a lot of people that kind of creeps out. My wife still has like a baby doll from, I guess, when she was a kid that's in like this little bear suit. It's kind of creepy, and she doesn't want to get rid of it, but it's creepy. I can think that's probably one of the only dolls that I'm like, nah, I'm good. So moving into a more spoiler zone part of the video. A couple things that really caught me off. It explained the reason that she like takes people's tongues and like shreds their mouth open, because she rips it open, I guess, to basically just grab the tongue out, and then it shows her actually at one point actually eat one of the tongues and says that your voice is mine now. So the people that she kills, she has the ability to utilize their voice as one of her own. So she uses that later on in the film to trick the main character, thinking that an older gentleman, Hank, is at this old theater, and then when he gets there he can still hear her, and it explains why he was able to lure him in the very beginning into the bedroom where his wife was dead. So that's kind of a cool thing. And the CGI or way that they just give her this super long kind of gross tongue that sticks out, like, that was a pretty cool little touch. But the thing that really gets me on this movie is the end. What a freaking twist. Like, I didn't see that coming. Like, I just straight up didn't see that coming. So that was just well done. I really like when they throw twists in movies, and this one I didn't call. The fact that the dad was one of her dolls the whole time, or even that she, the stepmom, if you will, was a doll as well, which makes sense because at the beginning when he first comes home, it doesn't really seem like he knows her that much, but she like jumps and like hugs him and is like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're home," blah blah blah. And it's just kind of like, I even remember thinking like, that's kind of weird, because like he makes it pretty apparent in that scene that he doesn't really know who she is. But it makes sense why she was so happy, because she was actually Mary Shaw, excited that he's back because he's the last one that she's trying to kill. So just little things like that you just don't see coming, and that really makes up for all of it. And I could see being younger, the whole like, don't scream, like that's how she gets you. It's kind of cool that there's a way that you could avoid being killed by this spirit. At the same time, like thinking about in those scenarios, like the guy falling off the scaffolding and he screamed, obviously, like who wouldn't? And then as soon as he screams, she like just swoops him out of the air and then like rips his voice out, or rips his tongue out and takes his voice. It just a well done movie. I really enjoy just the overall feel of this film, the creepy elements, the little Easter eggs here and there. There's one scene where they are in the church, the police officer and the main guy, and there's the clown doll at the edge of the hall, and she basically like says like, come closer and I'll whisper it to you. And the scenes are kind of like the camera's moving around, just different scenes. And one shot in particular, the camera sits and it shows like all the dolls behind him and then him walking, and then there's like a pole right here, and sitting at the base of that pole is Jigsaw from the Saw series, which I ended up sending a video to my little sister, and I was like, oh, did you notice this? And she's like, I watched that movie 4 times and I've never seen that once. So it's kind of cool when they add little Easter eggs to tie into other movies, and especially the two of them. The whole Saw series with the puppet riding the creepy ass tricycle, I remember that freaking me out as a kid. And then just this whole ventriloquist puppet doll, it just fits so perfectly, and it was a nice little like Easter egg that they threw in there, which is always fun to have in movies when you catch things that most people wouldn't. All in all, for story, for execution of like the CGI and the way that it's done, and just the movie itself, I'm gonna throw this one a 9. This is actually a pretty solid like overall like horror movie. Like it has that really like kind of criteria that, in my opinion, like I always just think of as a horror movie. You have to have like a killer, an entity, demon, something as the villain of the movie. You have to have build up to why that person is that way, like explain what happened that caused him to be this way, and then have like different things that happen that kind of escalate to it and build on that. And I just think that this was well done with the way that it started out, like just right off the bat with the wife, and then the old man, and then like learning all the backstories, and then just even more pushing through it to the whole, just that twist at the end, like blew my mind. I did not see that coming. I think that that's just spot on.